is speech. Speech sounds like a funny Swiss German name, speech, but it's not. It's the combination of speech and pitch, speech. And speech is indeed the name of a global organization specialized in speech solutions based on natural language understanding and artificial intelligence. Per Giorgio Vittori, Global Development Director at Speech, is going to present which are the different speech technologies and approaches on the market. After his introduction, he would talk about specific case studies implemented by global customers in different sectors. We will hear about customer pain points, the proposed solutions, and the benefits brought about by the solution implementation. Pier Giorgio will also show us a demo. We hope we can also show you live demo today, okay? So I leave the floor to Giorgio.
Thank you very much, Daniela, and good morning to everyone. So if you probably put up the slides, I can go through the slides and introduce the presentation. Please, next one. Yeah, can you send? Okay. So what I would like to introduce today, also thank you, Daniela, for the warm introduction, and good morning and welcome to everyone. So today we're going just to introduce the company in a nutshell. I will talk about product and solutions, and then as Daniela mentioned, I will go through a case study. So starting with a case study related to Crave, plus also some case study from global customers from speech. Then we'll end up, we'll have also some demo during the presentation. And then at the end, we'll talk more about market trends and next technological challenge. And then why speech, why speech compared to other solutions in the market. With that said, I will just list some of the customers' names that are chosen our solutions, and then we will pass on to a new session where we will show a case study related to what we are doing currently with Crave in Italy. Next slide, please. Can you center the slide a bit more, please? Yeah. So speech in a nutshell. Yeah, that would be better. Yeah, thank you very much. So who we are. So Speech is a company, was founded in 2014 in Switzerland. So we are an international company headquartered in Zurich, but we have a global presence, meaning we have offices, subsidiaries in different countries, mostly in Europe. What we are specialized is in speech technologies, which are based on artificial intelligence solutions. So some few characteristics of our solutions. We own our own technologies. We are multilingual, that means we address different market requests from different countries. We provide solutions which are both in real time, offline, in the cloud or on premise. And then what is important, a good differentiator is we are customer centric, meaning that every solution we do is not just a plug and play from what we see from Google, for example, but we customize solution to the need of the customer, which will give much more better accuracy and customer experience. Also, what is important to note is a quick time to market. As an example, during the current COVID situation, we were able to deploy a project in 48 hours. We are talking about hours and not days or weeks. Also, what's important here that we provide tools, the same tools we use to our customers and partners, so they can be self-sufficient in case they would like to continue to develop on top of the technology we provide to them. And last but not least important, we are recognized, as you can see, by Gartner in two actually papers. One is 2019 as a cool vendors, one of the 3 companies at the global level which are more innovative in this. It's one of the companies recognized for speech to text. Next slide, please. So as you can see from this slide, a key factors that everybody's talking about is omni-channel type of solutions. What it means that I can interact with one channel, but in the beginning, but also I can continue my conversation using a different channel. and I don't need to restart from providing my information, but can continue from the moment I interrupted my interaction with the previous channel. And that's very important because that's very related to the customer experience. So I give a flexibility to use a channel of desire, but at the same time, I can move from one channel to another channel without losing the interaction already done previously. On the right-hand side, you see some of the typical technology I will discuss more in the following slides, please. So moving on, you can see this is more or less a type of a solution, a technology based on our solution. So it's on the first left, you see verification. So we talk about voice biometrics, the possibility to verify the identity of the person. It may be a customer calling, or it may be the identity of the agent taking the call, for example. So this is a verification one-to-one, or it can be identification one-to-one. So I can find who's the customer here, analyzing voice against a data set of voice prints. The second point is conversational user interface, what we call a conversational IVR, voice bot, possibly basically to have a smart solution to take care of customer requests in a conversational way. We talk about compliance, speech analytics, real-time sentiment analysis, for example, emotion detection, and of course, well, the topic of this conversation, this presentation is the speech to text, which is a core technology for every of these applications. Next slide, please. So you can see some of the potential solutions that can be developed on speech. From the left-hand side, you can see, for example, everything to do with this IVR, self-service IVR, speech-enabled IVR, smart IVR, which means every question is not possible to automate, can be routed to an agent with a skill set that fit the customer request. So I get the customer request. Based on that, I can either reply if the system has the capability of doing that, or I can transfer the call to an agent with that skill set. But also I can do form filling, automated questionnaires, outbound call for survey, for example. There's a lot of things can be done with the speech technology in a conversational IVR. On the middle side of the slide, you can see typical solutions for voice biometric. Typically, I use for two reasons: for security, to reduce fraud, but also to give more personalization during an interaction between a customer and the provider. And then you can see on the right-hand side, typical solutions in the speech analytics sector, where we measure the NPS, we measure the quality of service provided, we measure the reason for contact customers, compliance, we measure sentiment analysis. Also, we do a lot of other work regarding, for example, sales optimization, process optimization, and more. You will see in some use cases. Please, next slide. Yeah, so I would like to start with the first use case, which has been kindly brought by one of your colleagues, Parag from CRIF India. Thanks, Parag. So this is a typical use case for India here. So what's the problem here? The problem here that the sales rep is going to reach basically to customer on a field in a remote location where the internet connection is very poor, and most likely the sales rep doesn't have a smartphone, right? So it doesn't have the possibility to use a phone for internet, transactions. And they need to basically reach out to the central portal to get information on the credit score of a potential customer before granting a loan. So that is a problem they are facing currently. And what the solutions will be bringing is basically a virtual agent. So it doesn't need to do any transactions through a web or through a smartphone, which they don't have, most likely, but they can make a simple call from any phone, provide information on the customer, and basically waiting for the reply to get the credit score. If the credit score will be sent through an SMS to a normal phone, and based on that, the sales rep can decide whether, what to do next. What is the benefit here? The benefit is here that I'm trying to use the time of the sales agent as most efficiently as possible, because it doesn't need to find a way to send information, wait for feedback, and maybe has to wait hours before getting a result, which may be negative. So he has wasted the time for no possibility to offer a loan because the credit score is not good enough. That is one point. So efficient usage of sales time. Then also a better conversion rate, because every visit is you can convert in more customers, you can do more visits actually at the same time because the response is quicker. And of course, this is a secure process because only authorized people can access it, only specific user can make a request. So next slide. What we did when we got this request from Parad, we thought, why don't you create a demo for it, right? It's quite simple, demo. And then what we decided to do is also, instead of doing a demo, which is possible, we can test offline. I think for technical reason, I think it's much easier to run a video here, where it shows exactly what we recorded while doing a live demo. So we'll ask please to play the video.
Welcome to the Credit Check Virtual Agent. Please provide your 6-digit PIN number for authentication purposes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thanks, Giovanni. What's the name and surname of the customer?
Ramesh Kumar.
Thanks. Can you also provide the PIN of the customer?
Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo. 1, 2, 3, 4 Foxtrot.
Thanks. And the date of birth?
4th December 1978.
Thanks. And finally, the phone number?
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Great. Please, can you confirm that you are asking for a credit check for Ramesh Kumar? PIN number ABCDE1234F. Date of birth, December 4th, 1978. Phone, 0123456789. Is that correct?
Yes.
We have just made the request to the credit bureau check. You will receive an SMS with the score of the customer in the following minutes. Thanks for using this automated service and have a nice day.
Yeah, so you have seen us. There's a simple application developed basically in few hours, and we're able to get even the notification through SMS, which is very important. Here, I would like to bring with these slides some other potential use case which may be important to the CRIF world. We mentioned about transcription. So one usage of the transcription will be basically meeting reports. So every time I have a meeting, instead of writing down, I can just basically dictate the notes. I can do also the sales force while on the go, which is much convenient. I can also access to a CRM, for example, to enter, retrieve data, managing appointments, or making notes. Everything can be done driven by voice. I mentioned before form filling, for example. I had to do, I don't know, a form for a credit check. I can be a form for anything I need, right? So insurance, for example, and so on and so forth. Compliance, we discussed that there is a use case later on. Voice biometric, they have a use case afterwards. We can offer also, for example, a bot. Can be a bot fully automated, a bot with a human automation plus a human customer services. For example, can be ticketing status, information, support. There is another type of application we see a lot is automatic debt collection. That is important because it saves a lot of time and cost. And then I see that you have also some a small part of the organization does real estate. Also here we can use voice to retrieve information regarding property value, comparison table, mortgage calculation, and so on and so forth. So this is just some example of potential use case can be done, and many more. If you move to next slides, I will show other use cases. This is one that we're working on with Inventia, which is part of the CRIF group. So what is the problem there? The problem is try to increase security in the transaction, especially in the financial industry, and have a possibility also to basically give access to a multi-factor, multi-channel type of verification. Because in some situation, this is possible to do a face recognition. In another situation, it's easy to do a voice biometric. In another situation, we do multiple. So we do one after the other one to get a better security. A typical example is an onboarding process. I can use typically today face recognition, digital signature. I can scan ID, and I can do also voice enrollment. And that is important. So in the verification process, I can use one or two methods. Maybe I'm on the go, so I use my voice. maybe I'm in front of the PC, I use my face recognition plus my voice as a double factors authentication. So the result here, the value here is we add the extra layer security. I'm using voice, which is very natural, and it's, again, it don't depend on the phone or the smartphone, the camera. I don't depend to any external devices. I just use the voice through a phone, through an iPhone. It can be through computer or anything. And then in some situation, voice is only available tool I have to interact with my system. So moving on. Next one. Yeah, here is I just put some comparison here. For example, different method of verification from the fingerprints, retina, iris, face, signature, and voice. As you can see, are the different characteristics, the ease of usage, error, accuracy, and so on and so forth. And then you can see voice is scored quite high in every of these. And the only problem they have is when somebody talks and he has a laryngitis, so he has a very strong cold, and that is important, right? So that is only factor that affects actually the voice biometric, but all the rest scores very, very well. Moving on to next slide. Here is a voice biometric project. As we have an example here from Migros Bank, which is one of the largest retail bank in Switzerland. So what's the problem there? The initial problem was there was a long traditional verification process, too many questions, too many personal questions, 30 to 40, 50 seconds to authenticate the customer through phone. And of course, there was always a risk of fraud management right here. So that was a main problem for the bank. What we did is basically we allowed to have a passive text independent voice biometric, which is listening in the background, the conversation between the customer and the agent, and they will basically trigger an alarm if the customer is not the right one, or the agent can monitor actually when the system will say, okay, that's the right customer. It doesn't need to ask any questions. It goes straight to the point. And that is very important. So in a few seconds, 7 seconds, it can detect the authenticity and of the customer. It can actually proceed with the request of the customer without waiting any longer. As you can see, as a result, we got at least 15% cost reductions. You don't need to have any personal questions. This is a lot of more security authorized by phone. And then so far, just after, last year, after the first 3 months of the start of the implementation, they got 75% of customers opt-in because they found also valuable for the customer, not only for the security for the bank, but also the customer found it very valuable. Next slide. So what I'm going to show you now is again in a video, but we can done also in real time here because that's a demo available. So we are going to run 2 videos here, right? Simulating 2 situations. The first situation is the real customer calling and talking to an agent, and the system will verify the identity of the customers and as well the identity of the agent. And the second video where we simulate an imposter, somebody basically speaking on behalf of somebody else, and the system will detect that the agent is the same, but the customer has changed his voice because it's somebody else actually talking. In that case, there is actually an alarm triggered to the agent. The agent will stop the conversation, will try actually to pass the conversation to a fraud department, because it's important also keep that call and not just discard that call, because you create basically a voice printer for the fraudster, which would be stored in the database and used for in case the fraudster will call later on as well. So you can play the first video.
Hello, my name is David and I'm happy to support you today. Could you please confirm your first and last name in order to access your bank account?
Hello, David. Yes, my name is Shoin Hatano. I called you like a couple of hours ago. At least I think it was you.
Yes, yeah, I think so. Yeah, by the way, could you please confirm the email address attached to your bank account?
Yes, it's shoin.hatano@gmail.com.
That's fine. Okay, and finally, please, could you confirm the last 4-digit number of your credit card?
Of course, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, thank you for providing this information. Now I can check again your status, and I see that we already made a new payment and the seller accepted it. So I would say that in the following 1-2 days, you should receive your order. So please just keep in touch. And if you don't receive it, please call me again. You have my name. You can ask for David, and I will be pleased to help you. At this moment, I'm afraid that we cannot proceed with any other task because in theory, the seller speech.com accepted your payment, your final payment.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No worries. It was my pleasure. So if you do not have any further requests, please do hesitate to reach us again.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you. So you have seen here the first part. So the upper part is actually is the voice biometric on the customer side. So we are verifying the voice of Sean Nathan is the legitimate customer there. And on the bottom part, there is actually a voice verification running on the agent side, which allows us to make sure that agent is the one authorized to take that call, especially nowadays where there are a lot of agents working at home remotely because of the COVID. So we want to make sure that not only the customer is the right one, also the agent is the right one. So you have seen the two green lights. The one is a green light, the system verified the identities of the customers and agents, and everything is fine here. And what you see also, the voice biometric is listening in the background, so there is no special question asked. It's normal conversation between humans in this case. It can be done also between a human and bot, of course. What is also important, the verification is done throughout all the processes. Not only I verify the customer at the beginning and that's done, I keep on listening to the conversation to make sure there is no change of voice throughout the call. The second video we are going to show is a situation where there is an imposter now on the customer side. Of course, we can emulate also an imposter on the agent side, and we have a demo also for that. But now this next video will emulate an imposter on the customer side. So you see how the line, the green line, actually is never go to green, but keeps a red, which will tell the agent that it's not the right customer that claims to be, and it will pass the call to a fraud management call center. We will actually talk and try to get information on the fraudster to record the voice and also learn who is the guy. So please, you can play the second video.
Hello, my name is David, and I'm happy to support you today. Could you please confirm your first and last name to access to your bank account?
Hello, David. Good afternoon. Of course, my registered name and surname is Shoin Atano.
Thanks, Shoin. Could you please confirm the email address attached to your bank account?
Yes, let me think. I would say that my registered email address should be shoin.atano@gmail.com. If that's wrong, I can provide you another one eventually.
No, that's fine, no worries. Could you also please confirm the last 4-digit numbers of your credit card?
Yeah, let me check. I have it here. Wait a minute. Yes, David. The last numbers are 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, thank you for providing those information. Unfortunately, at this moment, I have some issues by accessing your bank account. Please let me try to transfer to my colleagues here, and as soon as they can answer your request, I will be pleased to follow up your case. Please hold on. I will transfer your call.
That's not needed. I will recall maybe later. Okay.
Okay. No worries then.
Ciao.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Bye bye.
Yeah, so as you can see on the upper part, there is an imposter, so the system will never go green, the light. So we always stay below the threshold that is configurable, which typically a bank sets a certain level depending on the security level they want to achieve. So that's important. It never went to green, it stayed on the red. The agent at that point, he didn't follow up, he just tried to forward the call to a fraud management a contact center or colleague to deal with that fraudster. The fraudster understood that something didn't work out, so he declined basically the transfer, but that we collected anyhow the voice print of the fraudsters because it was enough audio, and then we stored in the database, so next time the fraudster will call, we know who is calling, and then we know what action to take. So so we move back to the presentation, please. Yeah. So that was a use case for the voice biometric and a demo. Again, it's a live demo we can do. You can test as well. It's just we do it in a video to be convenient for a session like this. So we go now to a new case study. It's regarding Swisscard. It's one of the major credit card companies in Switzerland. They have in the board like company like Credit Suisse and American Express. Their problem was basically customer experience mainly. So they had too long waiting time on the phone to get access to an agent or an operator. And also there was a lot of frustration because a long time customer was waiting, and maybe he got connected to an agent and was not able to answer the question on the first call, right? So we developed there is Marta VR basically. So it calls, the system, automatic system will understand the reason of the caller, the intent basically, and based on the information whether this is possible to automate the call, it was passed into a self-service AVR. In case they required the intervention of agent, it transferred the call to agent, and the agent desktop had basically in the desktop had a pop-up windows with a transcription of the intent of the caller. So the agent picking the call, picking up the phone was already knew what was the reason of the caller, so could attend their request right away. So what the result there, the measure is the first contact resolution rates improved, the customer satisfaction NPS increased, there was no waiting time, and then basically the conversation was minimum. In that case, the agent could take more call, right, attend more customers. So one side I have a saving cost on the customer, agent side, but from the customer perspective was a customer experience increase. If you move to the next slide, you see some of the parameters they measure the Swisscard to actually validate that there was an increase of the customer experience. As you can see on the right-hand side, they talk about the improvement of customer or the NPS, or the agent satisfaction, first call resolution, efficiency. So all the analysis they made, while on the left-hand side, basically they look at more in a technical perspective. So you can see different kind of language spoken on the phone, Switzerland's level language, but also what was error in recognizing the intent of the caller. In this case, error was less than 10%. That means over 90% the system automatically recognized the reason for calling and diverted the call to a right agent. So that is some of the results they could share with us, which is of course very nice and positive. So for them, key was the customer experience improvement. So moving to next slide. This is another case regarding compliance. This is a large international BPO with headquarters in Italy. It's Abramo. So basically their task was to monitor the compliance of sales call run by their customers, which are basically the major telco in Italy, Vodafone, Telecom Italia, Wind, and so on and so forth. So basically what they had to do, they had to make sure that the sales agent was running the call, sales call, in the right way, non-compliant with regulations. Of course, that is a very expensive task because you have to manually listen and check audits manually 100% a call, which are talking about thousands calls a day, and it means it's a lot of human effort. So of course, a customer cannot do it, do just by sample. If doing by sample, you risk basically compliance fine because maybe you don't audit the uncompliant call, and that's his risk for getting fined. So the solution we did is basically we get at the end of the day all the calls. We pass through the call at night time to our system. The uptime system will detect all the non-compliance, and the morning after you have a dashboard where basically the supervisor can see the calls when not compliant, and they can click in the call and see the part of the call which deviates from the compliance. The result of that is clear. So they can analyze 100% on the call, not just sample, 100%, and they can do it with 50% less time than would have done otherwise. And which is important also because there is no risk of fraud because you audit all the calls, and you do much quicker. You do at nighttime, so you don't spend any human resource at nighttime to do a work, and the machine can do much quicker and much better. And especially the machine is not biased, right? So it just follows the script, understands what's happening, and will make decisions or basically give a result of what he has found in that call. Also to monitor, the many calls are in mono format, very compressed, so it's very difficult to hear by human person what is being told in the call because the quality is very poor. But the machine can do that because it's adapted to listen to that kind of specific audio format and compression. So moving on to next one, to try to be quicker here. So there is another situation which speech analytics for BPO. This again There's a customer, BPO in Italy. Here the question was to increase the productivity of the contact center agents, basically, and try to keep the margin at the good, as good as possible here, right? So what we did here is basically we analyzed the sales call. We check for sales conversation, average handling time, call categorization. For example, if a sales call was being rejected, while the customer is not taking the call, is not interested in the products, how the agent reacted to the objection of the customers being called. So the idea is basically to increase the agent performance here, to see how the agent they adhere or not to the scripts, how much was the talking time, if it was overlapping between the agent and the customer, and so on and so forth. Again, so yeah, what is the result here? 100% of the calls are objectively monitored. We are talking about 3,000 calls a day on average. And also the agent management team is able to detect the deviation from the script, unexpected behavior, and then it can focus the analysis on what is more important, on the calls that didn't go as they should. Maybe you have to train better the agent or the sales rep to do a better job. But the idea is, again, to increase productivity of the system, because that means basically increasing the margin. So moving on to next one. This is a simple use case where basically we have an access to a CRM through voice here. And that's just, again, the system, you want to access when you're on the go. So it's not easy to do it on a mobile phone when you're driving, for example. So it's much easier to do by voice. You can get all information. You can do fast using your voice, which is natural way of interacting. Again, that's key. User experience, time to market, because that's also important. Time to experience, I would say, because that's key, right? So moving on to next one. So there is another bank here. So this we developed basically a personal finance manager. So it's an app, voice-driven app. So you can interact again by the app on the go, and you can ask information about your personal financial portfolio, right? And that's again customer experience. You get more calls because it's easy to do when you go, especially if you drive, if you're on the train, if you're somewhere else where it's difficult to type, especially from a small handheld, right? So this is another typical application. So moving on. There is another one. This is done in Italy. It's a multi-channel application. This is basically for booking a medical exam. So currently what happens, especially with the COVID, but it happened also before, there's a lot of calls coming in to book exams, so basic examination, and there was long waiting time. A lot of calls were lost. Basically, customer was losing 20 to 30% of the calls because the agent couldn't attend all those calls. And there was, of course, losing customer means for a private healthcare provider means losing money, right? So we did a multi-channel solution where you can actually book it by chatbot, by either typing to a chatbot on the webpage, talking to a chatbot, or making a call and going through an automatic system. And also it's a possibility to do actually a reservation through Facebook in a text mode. So we did that one. It's a multi-channel, same experience for each channel depending on the preference. Again, you can get the calls anytime, 24/7. There is no waiting time. And then you leave the human agent only to deal with calls that require more expertise, that are more complex. And of course, in case there is peak times, like maybe during COVID, and the system can scale up easily with the automatic system without increasing the number of agents on a constant basis. And what is also important from the money perspective is no call loss, so all the customers attended here. So moving on. So this is one, probably last case I have today. It's another case in a different sector. So Michelin. So here the question is, the problem was increased productivity and reduced costs. So inspectors in the factory of Michelin, they had to basically monitor and check the condition of the tires before they go basically to customers. So in order to do that one, they had to basically they monitor the tires, and after that they had to go to a computer and type in everything they basically audited, right? So the condition of the tires, every error, mistakes, and so on and so forth. And that's also, of course, it's a waste of time because first you have to do the inspection, and then you have to remember every parameters, and you have to go to a PC and do, and report everything as correct as possible. Now the solution says what it does. They have an handset, and while they are inspecting the tires, they can actually talk to the machine, and the machine does a form filling. So basically, it writes down in a form every value they found during the inspection, and then they just have to review and click it. So it's much quicker. So that will save a lot of inspection time. and they can do without using hands. So the hands can keep on inspecting tires while it's talking to the system. Of course, it's a lot of customer employee satisfaction in this case. And there is less mistakes because I don't have to remember after the special all the parameters I have to insert in the form, but I do one by one. So when I do a parameter, I just dictate it. I don't have to wait the end of the special, which is also very important here. So moving on. So here just some report here. As you can see, there's some report according, to several, Forbes, to Google, to, we have also reports on Gartner where you see actually the speech natural language understanding market is growing very rapidly here. And you can see the value estimated, from 2016 to 2023 is growing exponentially. And that is important because this voice is always more and more important, is getting more important. So next one. So what is here? Everybody's talking about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence and everything is, but artificial intelligence means technology based. It's not just this empty word. It comprises of all the technology we discuss and more on that. And it's a future customer experience because, again, I can do a lot of stuff. As I mentioned before, as a recap, I can do an omni-channel approach. I can provide services to different channels, an app, a chat, a voice, social media, everything. I can do verification, which is important not only for security, but also for personalization of service. I can automate a lot of routine tasks. I can get transcriptions and do extract information, for example, once it's transcribed for compliance, for semantic interpretation, sentiment analysis. I can do a lot of stuff. So again, there is a limit, it's only the imagination of what is possible to be done. There's a lot of progress has been done in last years. The technology is mature to bring to the next step, the digitalization solutions. I think that's moving on the last one. Moving slide, please. So why speech on us? Because we provide, a solution which are personalized, quick time to market, is integrated with, all available platforms, CRM and database. We provide tool set can be also for you as to be self-sufficient. The solution is scalable, we compliant, we have flexibility in pricing and so on and so forth. That is kind of differentiator compared to other markets, our competitors. So just last slide, one more is that is some of our customer partners. You can read in the presentation. I don't go through that. With that, I will end my presentation. I would like to thank you everyone for listening to it. And again, we are available for any question you have. We are available. We can do demo one-to-one anytime. So with that, I will pass on back the mic to Daniela. Thank you very much for your attention.